This is Forge Daily with Mackenzie Barwell on the Forge Audio Network.
Forge fans, welcome back to another episode. Today is October 17th, 2023. I'm your host, Mackenzie Barwell, here to give you all things Forge FC. I've got another great episode lined up for you. Mind you, these next 2 weeks, as I said yesterday, are going to be good because the anticipation for this final is climbing and climbing. That said, it'll look a little bit different this week on the audio network since we aren't looking ahead to another match day this weekend. So today's topics will include the CPL award show, which will happen on October 26th. We'll talk about what's up for grabs and then dive a little deeper into Coach Bobby's nomination for Coach of the Year. And later on, we'll listen into the CPL newsroom with Kristin Jack and Mitch Tierney to get their thoughts on the matchup against Cavalry and what they're projecting to see from Forge in these next 2 weeks. Forge FC not back out on the pitch for training until tomorrow. They've had these last few days to rest and recover. 2 weeks is a long time to prepare for a CPL final, especially in comparison to last season when they just had 2 days. I'll assume they'll be working on themselves this week, and then after Saturday, when they know who their opponent is, they'll dial in terms of tactics from there. All right, let's get into it. As we know, the CPL final will take place on the 28th. However, the Thursday prior to the championship match, the CPL award show will happen here at Tim Hortons Field. So it'll be an in-person ceremony to kick off the festivities surrounding that CPL championship weekend. You can also stream it on One Soccer to get the results live. And there are a few awards that we know of. I've mentioned on the show before. We've got Defender of the Year, Golden Glove, Player of the Year. However, let's focus on what we do know because we're still waiting to hear the nominees from those awards and some others. As of this afternoon, it has been announced that Kwesi Poku is Forge FC's nominee for U21 Player of the Year. In the regular season, Kwesi made 21 appearances. I doubt that was on purpose, but he clocked in 1,337 minutes with the team, recording 2 goals and 2 assists. But let me just say, aside from stats, he's just a great person and a great teammate. You can tell by the way that he interacts with his teammates and, from my perspective, the media. So absolutely well-deserved. I think we all know who we will be rooting for when this award comes around on the 26th. And now on to another award we all know and love, especially if you've been a Forge fan since the start. Coach Bobby has earned his 5th Coach of the Year nomination. That said, he's yet to take the trophy home, which, by the way, is an owl, which, according to the CPL, quote, symbolizes wisdom, guidance, and knowledge, while its heightened vision gives it the ability to see what others cannot, which sounds like Coach Bobby to me. So, anyways, looking at the 2023 season, Coach Bobby has led the team to be undefeated in its first 7 games, earning the CPL Manager of the Month earlier this year in April. Fast forward, Forge would go on to finish 2nd in the regular season, with particular success on the road, tying York United for most wins away with 7 total, and then conceding the fewest away goals of any club at just 14. In terms of tactics, Bobby also led the team to a strong defensive effort on the season, leading the league in clean sheets. I believe Tristan Henry's got 10 now, and having the second least amount of goals conceded with 32. Also, it's worth noting that this year, voting for all the CPL's annual awards will be based on performances during the regular season, not including the Canadian Championship, CONCACAF, or any playoff action. So that game against Cavalry, as well as the CPL finals, won't be included in Bobby's statistics for the 2023 award. All right, let's now turn toward the playoffs again because, as I mentioned, Kristin Jack and Mitch Tierney made some good points in the CPL Newsroom podcast regarding Forge FC in the playoffs and their performance against Cavalry.
Yeah, I think the biggest compliment you can maybe pay this game is the fact that it felt like an elimination match in terms of the intensity and the spectacle with which it was played. You always get that a little bit between these two sides, but it was at the next level because of what was on the line in terms of hosting the final. And thought Cavalry, they came out looking great and were excellent out of the gate at home. But you know, Forge in maybe a different look, suffered a little bit at the start of the match, but were able to survive and then take advantage of a Cavalry mistake on a corner kick in the 29th minute. And then an outstanding second goal from Forge. What's really been the difference between these two sides has been how they've done in the postseason. And again, Forge get the job done. And not only do they get to advance to their fifth final, but they'll be hosting that as well.
They are confirmed as hosts of the CPL final, which will be taking place at Tim Hortons Field on Saturday, October the 28th. They won just 4, though, of 14 home games this season. Had won 3 of their last 10 in all competitions before this past weekend. No matter, though, who they play, should they now be considered favorites? What do you think?
I think it's foolish to bet against Forge in the playoffs at this point. They've now played 12 CPL postseason games, including the Island games. They have 9 wins, just 1 loss. Outscored their opponents 16-6. Never allowed more than a single goal. 6 clean sheets. It's just an incredible level of dominance. And
I mean, I might be biased, but he's not wrong. It's a bad idea to bet against Forge in the playoffs, and we've seen it time and time again. All you have to do is look at the history. With that, we will wrap up today's podcast. If you have not already bought tickets for the 2023 CPL final on October 28th, I highly recommend that you do so now. The Bellows are sold out where the battalions sit. However, we are opening up the west side of Tim Hortons Field for this event because it will be jam-packed. Thank you all so much for listening, and be sure to tune in to Behind the Beard tomorrow on the Forge Audio Network. Maybe I'll get Bobby to tell us how he really feels about being nominated 5 years in a row for Coach of the Year, but not yet taking it home. Stay tuned, and we will talk to you then.
This has been Forge Daily with Mackenzie Barwell. If you like what you heard, please like, follow, subscribe, comment, and share.